This is apropos. Light is prevailing over darkness, says Israeli Prime Minister Binyamin Netanyahu, following the death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, who orchestrated the attacks of October 7th. Netanyahu says his killing offers the Middle East a chance of peace, but he's warning that the war in Gaza is not over and vowing that Israel will continue its offensive in the besieged territory, where more than 42,000 people have been killed, until all hostages seized by Hamas have been returned. With more on the reaction to Sinwar's death, here's Eliza Herbert.
Before the official announcement, an Israeli lifeguard took it upon himself to break the news.
Attention all bathers. It's not yet 100% confirmed, but we can't help it. The chances are very high that the rat from the tunnels known as Yahya Sinwar is dead.
While these beachgoers celebrated the Hamas leader's death, demonstrators took to the streets of Tel Aviv. Israel and its key ally, the United States, have long maintained Yahya Sinwar was a key impediment to hostage negotiations. Now that he is dead, families want Prime Minister Binyamin Netanyahu to make a deal to bring their loved ones home immediately.
You got a victory photo, now bring a deal. If Netanyahu will not use this momentum and present a new Israeli initiative now, even at the price of ending the war, it means that he has decided to abandon Matan and the rest of the hostages, with the aim of prolonging the war and securing his rule.
For Palestinians in Gaza, who have suffered unfathomable horrors from Israel's pursuit of Hamas, the reactions were mixed.
They've assassinated most of our leaders and still the war hasn't stopped. We're calling for the war to stop.
I don't think this will stop the war on Gaza unless the Israeli hostages are returned to their families. That will be a sufficient reason to stop the war. But Sinwar's assassination will not impact stopping the war on Gaza.
His death marks a pivotal moment, but after more than a year of war, spirits have waned and the end feels no closer for many in Gaza.
To discuss the consequences of Sinwar's death and what might happen next, we're joined by Middle Eastern Affairs analyst Sami Nader, who's also director of the Institute of Political Science at St. Joseph University. Thank you so much for being with us on the programme this evening,
Thank
Sami.
you for having me.
Firstly, how significant a blow is this for Hamas on the ground? After a year of war, after losing so many of its leaders, where does it stand now?
Definitely, this is a huge blow. This is a significant turn in the current event because Mr. Sinwar was the mastermind behind the October 7 attack. And by his killing, Israel can claim victory because he was the one who orchestrated the October 7 attack. But unfortunately, since then, the events turned in a different direction. We are today in front of a new war. There is a new dynamic, which is a direct confrontation between Iran and Israel. What Mr. Sinwar started, and he managed to do, is to transform this operation into a full-blown war in the Middle East, opposing Iran and Israel. It's true that today, the Gaza war, in a way, is terminated, is about to be completed, remaining that now the big issue of the hostages. However, since then, this event has been transformed into a full-out, an all-out war between Iran and Israel. And this could escalate given what Israel, is intending to do against Iran. And this could lead the region into a full confrontation between the two regional powers.
Yes, because Binyamin Netanyahu, he was very quick to say today that the war is not over. Do you believe that this is going to embolden him when it comes to Lebanon, when it comes to Iran?
I mean, the balance of power today is tilting in favor of Israel. There is no doubt about that, and there is enough reason to conclude that Mr. Netanyahu will keep on pushing on Iran, because bottom line, I mean, it was Iran that was lending support to Hamas and Hezbollah, and we are facing, a regional war between two regional power, Iran and Israel, in two different arenas, and on Gaza is one of the arena, and today the center of gravity of this war shifted to the north, to the fight between Israel and Hezbollah. And in the past, Hezbollah was conditioning his war of support that it decided to launch on October 8th on a ceasefire in Gaza. But today, things get out of control, and it's following its own dynamic. And it looks that Israel is insisting to get rid of Iranian assets on the East Mediterranean. And I'm afraid to say that from an Israeli perspective, Sinwar's killing came, a bit too late. And there is today nothing to stop this war with Iran. And this conflict is definitely shaping the regional dynamics for the weeks to come.
And if we look at the international reaction from the US to here in Europe, all sides pushing now for a ceasefire, what are the hopes of that without Sinwar? Many say that he was the one who was actually holding talks back, that he had preferred conflict over diplomacy, so to speak. Is Hamas now more likely to give in to Israeli demands? What do you think is going to happen there?
This is an excellent question. And this depends on what remains of Hamas leadership, because the negotiator-in-chief now has been decapitated, and and the decision is in the Hamas hands and of or what remains of Hamas leadership to save what can be saved of Hamas. And as the Palestinian Authority representative said today, maybe it's enough for Israel to stop what's undertaking in Gaza. However, will what the impact of such a ceasefire will be on the Northern Front? This is a different story, because what's happening on the north, it's a different ball game, if I can put it this way. This is a regional war. What is at stake is the balance of power on the Middle East, and it's the possibility of that peace normalization track that has been in the making for the last 5 years. It's the nuclear issue, and this is the real issue at stake. And I'm afraid that the killing of Mr. Sinwar will not have a big impact on this conflict between these two regional powers, Iran and Israel, for the time being.
Because also with this leadership vacuum at the top of Hamas, who is there to actually negotiate with on that side?
This is a good question as well. For now, all Hamas leadership are decapitated, and it's not clear who will be negotiating in place of Sinwar, especially after that the two negotiator-in-chief, Hani on one side, Sinwar on the other, now they are out of the picture. Who will be in charge of this? Whether these hostages will pay the price of as an act of revenge of this killing, or shall we see the emergence of a new leadership that will negotiate an end of this conflict? This is what we will be witnessing in the coming days, actually.
Yeah, because what do you think is going to happen to those hostages now? Many of their families saying this evening they've been rallying in Israel, saying they're more concerned now than they were before Sinwar's death.
Definitely, and maybe this is the reason why, some observers were saying that US was not in favor of such an operation, and maybe this is the reason why Israel did not say bluntly that they were behind this killing, and this is why we're seeing this fog, if we can put it this way, around this killing. And I'm not sure who will be in charge of leading the negotiation for the liberation of the hostages. This is still, an issue that is pending, and I'm not seeing, an optimistic outcome of this.
And Sami, Hezbollah, it was able to regroup after the death of its leader, Hassan Nasrallah. Both Hamas and Hezbollah now without their chiefs, so to speak, which is an unprecedented situation. But do you think Hamas can do the same, that it still has the resources to be able to regroup after losing Sinwar?
I don't think that, first of all, Hamas has the same capability of Hezbollah. Hezbollah, despite the huge blows it has been dealt, it's still showing a great level of resilience, especially in close combat fields. It's true that they have been largely degraded when it's come to their capability to launch mid-range missiles. They have been degraded politically with the decapitation of their first-rank political and military leaders. However, on the ground, they are still showing resilience and high level of compatibility. All the more, they are still supported and supplied by the Revolutionary Guard. The situation is totally different in Gaza because of the enormous pressure Israel is doing, because of the lack of supplies, and because of the fact that Israel has significantly, not to say completely, degraded Hamas military capabilities. This does not mean that Hamas doesn't have some level of resistance, but I'm not sure that it is here to stay for months to come.
Sami, thank you so much for that. We'll have to leave it there. That's Sami Nader, Director of the Institute of Political Science at St. Joseph University.